Welcome to Crafted Sweetly. In this video, I will show you how to tackle heat transfer vinyl, but on shoes instead of a shirt. So I got these black shoes, which were pretty plain, and I bought them specifically because there was nothing on there. I wanted to add some vinyl. So first what we need to do is measure the area that we have to work with. So looking at this shoe, we've got about 5 inches in length that the design needs to be. A measuring tape is better than using a ruler because you can form it around the shoe. So we've got 5 inches on this side. And then because of the shoelaces, we've got about an inch at the highest point. And then a little farther in, like 3/4 of an inch and an inch. So I'm basically drawing the shape that I have to work with, and that's where I will be designing in Design Space. So once I've kind of cut out a piece of paper roughly about the size that I'm working with, so 5 inches, high point about an inch, and then 3/4 and half an inch roughly. So I basically cut out a template. I want to have that to make sure that it fits. I cut it out of just a piece of paper beforehand. I may eventually add something to the heel for more interest, or you could do something on the inside of the shoe. I'll have to see. But at this point, I just want to show you the technique of adding vinyl to it. So now we go to Design Space, and I found this design. I'll be using the center portion of it. So what we need to do is eliminate everything else. And if you can watch some of my other videos that explain the process of slicing images out of the rest of the image that you have in Design Space if you only want to work with certain areas. So here I just want the center portion. I'm using a draw circle versus a cut so I can see through it, and I change the color to red. It just makes it easier to see where the outline is. And you can keep playing around with it until you get it to be just around the center portion of the design. Then we do slice and we delete everything except for the center part. And this is the part we're working with. Now we need to transform this image into the size that fits the side of the shoe, which remember was about 5 inches long and at the highest 1 inch. And this is perfect because the mandala will taper off to the side as we enlarge it, as we stretch it out to 5 inches. And what I did here was move the mandala to the in line with 2 so that we can easily find the center, and you can use the X and Y axis in order to move the square, or I should say eventually the rectangle that we're using to slice off the portion that we don't want. And again, you can watch my video on the mandala. I'll link that in the description below as well. That will explain the slicing technique a little better. We slice that off, and what we do need to do is do a line at the bottom of this mandala. So now we have half of it. If we were to leave it as is, it wouldn't have a finished edge. So we will need to add a rectangle, a line. So we'll start off with a rectangle but turn it into a line at the base of this. So I made the length 5 inches, the height 1 inch, and then we're using this rectangle, which we will need to weld, so that's permanently attaching to the rest of the mandala. Just play around with it to make sure that it's the right length and it's positioned right against the rest of the design. Once you have it, select the two and then click on weld, and these two will be together. Once you have the image ready, we will duplicate this because we're doing 2 of them, one for each shoe. And I will duplicate it and then flip it on the vertical axis. I split the mandala in half and then added that line at the bottom because I wanted the finished edge, and then we're duplicating it. Once you have cut out the design with the Cricut, and remember to have it on a iron-on transfer setting on the machine, we will need to weed this. On white, and because it's so small, as you can see, the design is pretty hard to see. I use the Cricut weeding tool, and believe it or not, a magnifying glass. Some people would lose their mind trying to do this, but I kind of find it relaxing, just picking out all the little bits and pieces that we don't need in the design. So I take off the main portion of it, and then the rest of it, you're basically taking each little item that you don't need out. It's kind of therapeutic as you remove those little pieces, and once you see the final product, as you can see here, it's just so beautiful. Now we need to do the second one. Same thing, remove all the pieces you don't need using the weeding tool. And now we will attach this to the shoe with the Cricut EasyPress Mini. Trim the excess plastic off. It will be easier once you start doing the ironing on to the shoe. The Cricut EasyPress Mini is just like a really tiny iron. It's really easy to get into tight spots. It heats up really quick. You just have to press this button 3 times. I've had it on already preheating. It doesn't take very long, but once it's preheated, you can get into ironing the design onto the shoe. You do have to prep the area so that the cloth part is already warm. Just do it for a few seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds to get the area hot. Then put the design on the shoe, and I'm lining it up right along the rubber area, not too close so that I don't touch the rubber area with the iron. Once you have it in place, you're just going to run your iron right over the plastic area and then just keep moving it to stick it to the shoe. Do the same thing with the other one. And again, the area was preheated, and we're going to attach the design to the shoe the same way. We're just going to run the iron right over the plastic. I need to make sure that it's right at the same spot as the other side, and you're just gonna keep moving the iron back and forth until you can see that the vinyl has adhered to the shoe. If it looks like it's slightly separating, then you can go back and do it again. I just happened to pick up a ball of rubber bands that I had handy to stick in the shoe. It was getting a little warm on the inside, so you can use something to support the inside of the shoe. And what's nice with this little mini iron is that it goes into tight spots, so there's not much area. If you're trying to do this with a big iron, I think it would be pretty hard to try and attach the vinyl to the shoe without having some nice proof of it on your hands. As you can see, the design is pretty cool. It made the shoes just a little more interesting than just black shoes. You can also add a design to the tip. It would have to be a different vinyl. You can't use the iron on top of the rubber area. But this is a pretty cool mandala on your shoes. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please subscribe below and stay tuned for other videos. Till next time.